welcome everybody, and thank you for coming along to this TVLP webinar on EtonX, their website and courses that they can offer to UK state schools. I will hand over to Catherine Whitaker now, who is CEO at EtonX, and she will run us through the services that they offer. Catherine.
Great, thanks very much, Claire, and thanks so much for organising this. What I thought I'd do today is give you a little bit of an overview about who we are as EtonX and what we're trying to achieve. Talk a bit about the courses that are available free for you as UK secondary schools. I've got a section where we'll have a look in a little bit of detail at some of the kinds of activities, a little bit of a deep dive into a couple of those courses, and I'll walk you through how to apply and what materials are available for teachers at the end. But I'm really quite happy to take questions. I'll sort of pause as we go, and if anyone's got any questions, please let me know, and Claire can unmute you and ask me direct. So just to kick off, I'm sure most of you, especially in the TVLP, will know about Eton College, but you might not have heard of EtonX or understand how we fit in. So we are a subsidiary of the college, but we operate slightly independently. So we're actually based in London. We would normally be in London Bridge in an office, but we're all working from home at the moment. And we work with the college to create online courses and technology. So we are effectively a team of materials developers, technologists, business development people, and we have the resource of Eton in terms of the experts, teaching and other kinds of staff to help us develop courses with an Eton flavour. We're all about working on the kind of areas that are not curriculum. So we're not in the business of exam preparation or pure syllabus content, as you'll see. What we're trying to do is ensure students have success by building other kinds of skills on top and as a supplement to their curriculum studies. So we're trying to answer this question, which is a question that's getting harder and harder all the time to answer. What skills are essential in an unknown future? Before COVID came along, sort of think of the world pre and post COVID. Before COVID came along, we talked to students a lot about the challenges brought about by things like the rapid pace of technological change, globalization, and also what's often called a global skills gap, which is the fact that a lot of employers, when they have young people coming into the workplace, find that they know a lot of stuff, but being able to do stuff, so in terms of teamwork, communicating effectively up and down the hierarchy in an organization, is something that's not so easy and doesn't always get developed in the course of studies. So that's the kind of area that we're working in. And then, of course, COVID has come along and made that future even more unknown and even more uncertain. And I think, obviously, young people today are entering an environment that is going to be even more challenging in terms of growing unemployment rates and inequalities and all the things that we're all very occupied with at the moment. So the future was already a challenge, but has become incredibly challenging in this year. But I think the skills that we're trying to develop in students remain useful in both scenarios. So what we're trying to do is help students with their communication, with their ability to get into university, to thrive in the workplace and apply for work, and with leadership skills, which can often mean sort of self-leadership, having an impact, self-awareness, those kind of skills. And it's very important to point out that the courses that we develop really work across the scale within a secondary school setting. So we have students, very aspirational, high achieving students who are looking for Oxbridge and Russell Group entry using our courses. And we're also being used by students who are on a track to apprenticeships, going straight into the workplace after school, and other kinds of programs. So there really is no limit in terms of where our programs fit within a secondary school context, and we're being used across the country in all sorts of different settings now, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. So these are the courses that we offer. So there are 11 different subjects, and they fit into those 4 different categories. So If you're looking for something to improve communication skills, we've obviously got a verbal communications course there, or a public speaking course, so 2 different forms of communication. If you've got students who are looking to boost their chances of getting into university or making a success of studies so that their application to university is strong, then I would point you in the direction of courses such as the critical thinking course, or the research skills course. That's particularly useful for students who are going to be doing an EPQ. Quite a few students have done that and then moved on to do an EPQ. Then in the category of workplace preparation, obviously we've got CV writing, interview skills and entrepreneurship. And then in the area of leadership, courses such as making an impact are probably the ones to point to. There's no hard and fast categories though. I mean, these courses fit in different areas, and what we do is we give schools the choice as to which course is most suitable for their students. So in terms of the courses themselves, they're 100% online, and they're designed to be used for independent study. So if you're concerned that it's going to take up staff time, you're going to need to get your heads around the syllabus and formulate a program, that's not the case. They can be used like that, and I'll be talking about that at the end. But they are capable of being used completely independently by students. All you need to do is give them an access code, and then they can go on and start learning. You can get students to learn at a pace that you set, but they can equally be used at the pace that the students set themselves. Depending on how much effort a student's willing to put in, they take between 7 and 10 hours. So, for example, our entrepreneurship course is you can just work through the materials and have some ideas as you go, but if you want to start developing a business pitch for, say, Dragon's Den type event, which one of our schools has run, that would be closer to 10 hours or possibly even more if you really want to go to town with it. But again, that can be left to the individual student, or it can be a decision for the school if it's going to get integrated with another program. And in terms of the types of activities, and forgive me, I'm using PowerPoint because it's just easier in terms of being able to show you materials than going onto the live website. But we've got some examples of the different types of activities. There are lots of videos. So in the top right hand corner there, that's Jo Rainey. She's a history teacher at Eton, and she's the course director for the essay writing skills course. And so each of the course directors introduces a section of study and is there at the beginning and at the end, kind of introduce and summarize for a student. But then within each unit, there are lots of different types of tasks, practice tasks, decision tasks, a lot of interactive reading. I'll show you one of those later, and surveys. So students should feel that there's a good range of different tasks for them to tackle. Students are also able to track their progress through a course using the self-study progress dashboard. And it's pretty clear, you can see at an instant how much of the course the student's done and what their achievement has been on that part of the course. So Mariana here has done it's done 21% of the course, and of that 21%, she's achieved a grade of 83% in as an average. So that's very easy for a student to see, and if you give teachers access, they will see that they can see this for every individual student as well. And all being well, if a student goes all the way through the course, once they've achieved 95% of a course, there is a button and they can download their own certificate. This is just a dummy certificate for one of my colleagues who's pretending to have completed the writing skills course. But what we've loved seeing with the work that we've done so far with schools is a lot of students going onto Twitter or other forms of social media to show the world that they've completed the course and they've got the certificate to prove it. So it's obviously valued by the students who do get to the end of their courses. We're very clear with students throughout the course and in everything we say about the course is that it's not a case of doing 7 to 10 hours study and then you're magically a fantastic public speaker or you're an entrepreneur. It's the beginning of a journey. All skills have to be practiced and developed. So what we do at the end of each course is students create a development plan, which is their next step. They have a couple of different, they have a sort of range of objectives that they can choose. They pick from those, and then they put why they selected this objective. So this is Mariana's personal development plan. And what that does is it gives students a roadmap for continuing to develop that skill after the course, with a lot of ideas about how to continue to implement the learning into their everyday lives. So I'm going to do a bit of a deeper dive into 2 of our courses, but before I do that, are there any questions?
So Fiona asks, are the courses free?
Oh yes, free, yes, definitely. For UK maintained secondary schools, absolutely, and sixth form colleges, yes. And I will show you at the end exactly how to apply for it and what a teacher gets as a result of signing up their students as well. So the phase 1 that I'm referring to here was, as Eton has a social impact vision called Eton 2020. We're part of that in being able to share Eton's resources with schools more generally, and part of Eton's invested in EtonX, and therefore we're a very important part of that vision. The immediate impact, the immediate reaction to lockdown was to open up our courses. 7 of our courses. So at that point, it wasn't the full 11. It is now 7 of our courses to schools across the UK, and we had fantastic take up. There's a little map of all the different schools who requested codes from us, and in order to choose which courses to drill down into, I had a look at the most popular courses. Resilience, as you can see, perhaps unsurprisingly given the times we're living in, was by far and away the most popular course. And so I'll show you a bit of that, and I'll also talk about creative problem solving, which was just pipped to the post for 2nd place by research skills. We relaunched the scheme at the beginning of this term that we're now in, and it's interesting that we've seen resilience again be the most popular course. I think 24% of teachers have requested that course for students, and perhaps reflecting the time of year, we're seeing interview skills coming up the ladder. So, but resilience still by far and away the most popular course. So let me show you what the syllabus for that course looks like. And before I sort of talk about the course in more detail, I just thought I'd answer a question which people often ask or have in their heads, even if they don't ask, which is, can you actually teach these skills? You know, these are skills that sometimes feel innate. You know, some people are more resilient than others. Can you make somebody or help someone to become more resilient? And some of you might know CERL, the Centre for Innovation and Research and Learning at Eton. They've done quite a lot of research into this area, and in fact the director of CERL, Johnny Noakes, is the course director for our course. So he's brought into the shaping of the syllabus a whole load of techniques that he's read the research around their effectiveness. And quite often they're very simple tools and techniques which are not difficult to introduce to students, but are nonetheless quite powerful. And I'd also say that we're not necessarily coming up with things that, you know, are only ever used at Eton by any means. A lot of these tools and techniques you'll see in executive training schemes or in workshops that are run for teenagers. But I think what EtonX can do really effectively is just bring that all into one place, into a self-study format, which means you can put it in front of your students and not have to kind of pull it all together yourselves and work out how to get it in front of your students. It's all there in an easy to use format. So something that I thought I'd look at, you can see there are lots of different techniques that we introduce students to, but I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail on week 4, which is about changing negative thought patterns and giving students an introduction to the idea that you can reframe, you can recognize negative thought patterns, you can reframe those thoughts, and that optimism is something that you can actually practice. Obviously, some people tend to be a bit more optimistic than others, but it's not something that you should feel that you can't work on. So in week 4, we talk about optimism, and we ask students to investigate different kinds of negative thinking habits and how they can be reframed. All right, hopefully you can see the live version of this presentation. So this is an interactive reading task where we introduce students to 5 different negative thought habits. And part of being able to reframe them is being able to recognize them. So something that is easy to do, and all these, I think I've experienced all these things during COVID and lockdown. One is catastrophizing, which is assuming the worst is going to happen and blowing something negative into something much worse than it actually is. There are other things like generalizing, so creating false patterns out of events, predicting the future based on one piece of evidence. The interview's going to go badly, I'm not going to get the job, and that can be quite damaging. Thinking that you can read what's in someone's mind when actually you have no idea what they're thinking, and so on. So these are sort of 5 different ways of having negative thought patterns, and students can click through that presentation in their own time and read the explanations. The next thing that they do is that they then get a chance to recognize those kinds of thought patterns in some examples.
Sorry, Catherine, just a quick question from the audience. Is appropriate for all secondary ages, or are they more targeted at specific year groups?
That's a good question. So we believe that the courses are most suitable for age 14 and up, and the scheme actually for the free access is for year 10, or every year group from year 10 to 13. But yes, within that, we believe most courses work at most ages. The critical thinking course is perhaps a little bit more challenging for the younger age group, but again, it will depend on the particular students. If you've got some very academic students, the critical thinking course as young as 14 might work, but we would usually recommend that slightly older. And then we found that mostly people decide what they think the need is, where they think the need is greater within the year groups, and choose the course to match. But effectively, they should be useful from year 10 to 13. So just to see what we do next with that concept, we give students an example sentence. Teacher asks if she can speak to you after school. You think I must have scored badly in that test. I'm going to fail my exams. I'm going to fail school. And that's an example of catastrophizing. You're taking one bad, we don't even know if it's bad. She might want to say something nice to you, but you're taking, extrapolating and way off into catastrophic situation. And then there are lots of other examples. Your friend is 10 minutes late for a coffee. She's so thoughtless. Why does she always let me down? She's such a terrible friend. Obviously judging her behaviour. You don't know why she's late yet, and etc. So very straightforward activity, but allows us to check that students have understood the concepts of these different negative thought patterns. But most importantly, the next thing that we ask them to do is to think about reframing those thoughts. So you can reframe negative thoughts into positive ones, and to do that, we give students a set of positive statements, and they have to work out which of those negative statements have come. This is actually a really difficult activity. I tried to do it and found it wasn't that easy, but it gives students a model of a more positive way of thinking. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. That one's a drag and drop activity. So just to show you where that fits in, that's actually from thinking habits within week or sort of section 4 of the course. So you can see that we show students how optimists think. We show them how to reframe negative thoughts. We give them an understanding of confirmation bias, which is obviously is not just about students' own thought patterns. They might experience confirmation bias in their lives in a negative way from other people as well. And then we show them how to continue to work on their thought processes, and also to think about where beliefs come from, to think about the influences on themselves. Some of those negative thought patterns, they may be coming from influences in their lives that are not healthy influences, and they can question whether they're able to remove themselves from those influences. So all good stuff. The most important thing, though, with all these courses, resilience is probably heavy on this, but we do it in every single course, is self-reflection. And throughout the courses, obviously the most important thing is that although there are some concepts and some comprehension and some activities like the ones I've shown you, the most important thing is that we have to help students find ways of applying those techniques to their own lives. So in the case of the resilience, there's actually a resilience log that students can fill out as they go through the course. And it's a period of self-reflection. We ask them to write various entries. These are always structured tasks. It's not completely open-ended. And here we're asking them to take away the learning I've just shown you and apply it to their own life. That log can then be downloaded at the end of the course. So even though the course has ended, they can hold on to that work and take it further. So that's just a quick look at how something like resilience, that you think, gosh, how do you teach that? How can you help students become more resilient? That there are ways and means of doing that. Moving on to creative thinking, as an example, we started thinking about a creative thinking course quite a while ago, and we were aware that the PISA assessments were moving into this area as well, and they've recognised, the OECD that runs the PISA course have recognised that critical thinking is creative thinking, I knew I would make that mistake, creative thinking is incredibly important skill for students to have, and it's one way of dealing with change, with the pace, especially the pace of change in the world, to be able to think creatively and to problem solve creatively. And this again is an area where people tend to make the mistake of thinking, oh, creativity, that's something that you're born with, and they're obviously making that classic mistake of thinking that creativity is always an applied skill. It's something that you're creative if you're good at music, drama, or arts. And what we're doing in this course is giving people, again, tools and techniques to become a creative problem solver, and they may have no aptitude for drawing or they're not involved in music or drama, but the point is that especially once you get into the workplace, you need creativity in order to solve problems on a daily basis. So we give them a structure to do that, and again, what we're doing is giving them techniques to take away. So this is the structure of the creative problem solving course, which fits that wheel that I just showed you. And what they do is it's quite sort of the students are encouraged to find a problem to solve and to try and go through that sort of creative problem solving wheel. And one of the key things we encourage them to do is to iterate and to, if something doesn't work, try it a different way. But one of the techniques we give people early in the course is around ideas generation. And we introduce them to the idea of divergent and convergent thinking. So the idea is that you come up with lots and lots of different ideas. So the first part of the course is to help, we give students idea generation activities, and we encourage them to sort of think as broadly and widely as possible. And then in the second part of the course, we give them techniques to kind of analyze those ideas and then choose between them and converge into a solution. And we give them, for example, ways of taking different ideas and combining them, and we give them examples of how a lot of great innovation is actually it wasn't one brand new thing, it was two existing ideas forged into one new, like the printing press was actually a combination of a wine press and a coin making machine, as I understand it. So just to give them the idea that we're not trying to come up with incredible ideas off the top of our heads. There are techniques that can help you come up with ideas and refine and iterate and analyze ideas in order to make an impact. So that's this is just an example of an activity from the course where we've given them a problem and a whole load of solutions, and as part of the analysis of the solutions is to understand what's easy, what's difficult, what's original, what's common, and they're asked to categorize different ideas into the grid here. So that was just a kind of look at some of the materials, and I'm going to move now into why we think we're helping students, but also more importantly how you can get access to the materials. What we're hoping to do with students, apart from develop the skills that the courses are about, is making sure that they're readying themselves for university entrance, and those certificates that we've mentioned obviously can be put on CVs. They can be put on university applications as well. And we, as I said, as I've already mentioned, very keen to ensure that students regard a course like this as the start of a journey. You don't turn into an expert or a brilliant practitioner of any of these skills overnight. They take sometimes a lifetime's work to get good at, but we hope we've given students a toolkit to get started. And the feedback that we've had from students often talks about confidence, and that for us is a really important thing. That yes, we've increased maybe their public speaking or their critical thinking skills, but they just feel more confident in themselves because they've been able to focus on a particular skill and do something that they haven't necessarily tried before. For schools, what we're trying to do is ensure that we can help you deliver programs that you might not have the time to do, either in terms of teaching capacity, but also perhaps based in the timetable, always at a premium. And obviously, you know, especially now, teachers are so busy just trying to make it work, just trying to keep the schools open. And you know, I absolutely know my son's just started in year 7 at secondary school, and the arrangements for year bubbles and all the rest of it is extraordinarily taxing. So I would really appreciate that right now schools are very, very stretched, and if we can help with some programs that just allow students to do a bit more than they might otherwise, as well as improving their skill levels, then we'll be thrilled with that. We have had feedback that helping students gain confidence and gain in particular skills can improve their levels of aspiration. We were working with a school in Bedford, and one of the school leaders there has mentioned to us that they struggle to get students to apply to Russell Group universities, and as a result of working with us last term, he's got more Russell Group applicants this year than ever before, which is fantastic to hear. And then because it's online, we know that it will help students. It will help students with extra learning if they're not able to come into school because they're self-isolating, or God forbid we go into another lockdown. I know everyone's trying to keep the schools open, but you know, who knows what's down the road. If that happens, then you know, we're still here online no matter what happens next. So that's those are what we're trying to achieve. And these are just some of the testimonials that we've had from phase 1 of our operations with UK schools from in the last term. So I'll move on to the offer now for schools. So as I mentioned, it's available from years 10 to 13, and you can choose one free self-study course per year group. So you choose one for year 11, one for year 12, etc. And I'll walk you through the registration process in a second, but it's all done online. It's very straightforward. And what we do is, once you've requested the access you'd like, we send you the codes and you hand them over to students, and they come onto our website and register. If you want to take a closer look at any of the courses, then you can have a 1-month free trial which will give you educator access to the courses. You can have a look at all 11 of them to work out which ones are right for which year groups. And we're very happy to give that, and you can register as part of the process I'm going to show you next. So this is the URL for the registration. So if you go to etonx.com /UK schools offer hyphenated, then you'll see that there is you can apply for any one of these year groups, and if you tick any one of them, I mean, you don't have to obviously apply for all year groups. We've had some schools who are very targeted. They want to just offer it to a certain category of students within their school, and not necessarily the whole year group either. You might choose again to target it within a year group. But if you tick any of those boxes there, the next screen will ask for your details. We do it all through the school, so that's why we need your URN, your registration number, so we keep track of which schools are in the programme. But on the left, or on the right hand side here, you'll see that you can also nominate other teachers to manage each course, and I'll show you what that entails in a second. So it doesn't have to be you as an individual in your school, or one person in the school managing the whole programme. You can have year group leaders or individual teachers or senior leadership team, whoever you want, can be in charge of that group of students going through the course. And if you give access to a teacher, what they get is they see all the courses that students are studying. So if you gave, I don't know, your head of year 10 access to the course for year 10, she'll see that course. She'll also see all the students' progress. She'll be able to export gradebook data, and she'll see those end of course smart plans that I showed you. And if the students complete the course, she'll see the transcript, so she'll see what the student got up to in the course. That's all, you don't have to spend lots of time looking at that data. It's there if it's useful, and if it's not, it doesn't affect the student experience whatsoever. And then within each course as well, we offer a resource pack for teachers. And what that consists of is a teacher's guide, workshop activities, and follow-up activities. So the follow-up activities allow for you to, if you want to check in with students and find out what they've learned, we give you a few activities that you can do face-to-face with students if you want to bring them together into a group. And we also give you a sort of, in the teacher's guide section, we give you a kind of map for the course, so you can decide at what point you do either the workshop activities, or the workshop activities, you can decide where you do within the course map, and then the follow-up activities are obviously for the end of the course. And then in the teacher's guide, we also give you key concepts, key vocabulary, and a course guide. These are all designed to help teachers not have to work through all the materials. So if you do want to intervene and have some touch points for students, it just allows you to do that without having to necessarily work through the whole course yourself. So it's a kind of step between, it's a step between sort of not having any involvement at all, letting students get on with it, and kind of going the whole hog and working through all the materials, knowing exactly where they are at each stage. So it does allow you to be quite hands-off, but bring students together and check in with them if you like. We would recommend that whether you're going to use the materials and run workshops and be involved or not, we would still recommend that you give students a target date by which you expect various sections to be done. So each course has 6 sections. We would recommend that you give students, say, 8 weeks maximum to do the course. Maybe maybe give it to them in a half term, and then you could check in if you want to at a halfway point. If you leave it very open-ended and students know that they're not going to be monitored, then obviously, as with all online learning, some students will be very, very motivated, do the course, get the certificate, put it on Twitter, and other students will maybe redeem the code, fill out their profile and read a couple of things, and that's it. So we do recommend, even if you're not going to be supporting students with other forms of activities, giving them a clear guide as to what you're expecting and by when, and then you can always use the dashboard tools to check up on them. Right, I think that's it in terms of the Future Skills programme. Just a quick, and we've got time for questions, but just a quick plug for something else, which is that we do also have a free CPD course. I know, I don't know how many teachers have time for CPD at the moment, but this is available all the time. Won't be taking it down anytime soon. So what this is, again, there's a URL, a slightly different registration process for this. But you just give us your details, and then we send you, you'll get an access code to register yourself as a student in this course. What this course does, it's easy to dip in and out of, and what we do is we have 6 topics which are all about, they all come out of the Centre for Innovation Research and Learning's research into how to best educate Gen Z students. So there's a section on character education, academic engagement, resilience is in there again, and how to develop independent learning skills. It's video based, series of video lectures, and that's open to absolutely all teachers. So you can, if you want to let your colleagues know about that, it's there for anyone at any level to get involved with. So I think that's it for me in terms of talking you through the programme and how to sign up. Very happy to take any more questions, or if you do have anything specific or something that strikes you later, then those are my contact details if you want to get in touch.
Can I ask a quick question about the free offer again? Because I asked before whether it's free and you said it was free, and then there's a slide about it being a free offer and you have a month trial. So is that just so that you can collect information about the people that are signed up? I'm not quite sure why there's a free trial offer if the program's free.
Okay, sorry, that might not have been clear. It's that 1 month trial is for teachers to have a look at every single course. So yeah, we give information on each course on the website. That syllabus that I showed you is available per course. But if you actually want to, as a teacher, come in and have a look at the material and work through the course and work out which course is best for which year group, then that's the trial. And then the free offer for students, that's all year. So what we will issue codes. Codes need to be redeemed by the end of this, let me get this right, by the end of this calendar year. But then once the students registered, they will have access for 12 months. So it's the trial is simply to help you as a teacher decide which course to offer which year group.
Great, thanks. There's
absolutely there's no payment involved at any point for these courses. It's not a way of trying to get into a school or to market to students. It's completely free. And all we do is we just limit that trial access because we have a lot of sort of accounts that aren't really being used. And if you need more than a month, or you want to come back and have a look, that's absolutely fine.
One other just clarification question. In terms of a previous slide where you had the courses and then you choose a course for a year group,
yeah,
that's 1 course per year group only?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But do you have to choose the same course for each year group, or can you choose a different course for each year group?
You can choose a different course for each year group. So you could have four different courses, one for year 10, 11, 12, 13.